Hey folks, I'm here with Renn.
Yo!
Yes. We're going to talk about setting up an army with blue table painting, and also talk about, well, how would you pick an army? What are the pros and cons of the different army types? So, and we're going to make some commentary too. So when you're setting up an army, obviously the big thing is cost. And we do everything. We do everything from the simplest, least expensive thing, all the way up to armies that are insanely complicated. We even have scratch sculpting now. So
Yeah.
we've done, we did a witch elf army that was pretty much all just cast up. Excuse me. Okay, so what advice would you give to somebody picking up an army nowadays?
Well, a lot of it depends on the system that you actually.
Oh, we're talking about 40K.
We're talking about 40K.
Yeah.
Okay. Now for 40K, what you really want to do is, most of the time when I tell somebody what they should start is I ask them what kind of play style they usually like to play. If they play miniature games, or even if they've played some like video games, you kind of get a general idea. Space Marines are obviously usually the easiest because they're most forgiving because they have a good armor save and they don't die quite in as droves as some other armies do.
Right.
Which it's a little bit more difficult. But it's a lot of it is somebody's actual play style, kind of what their budget is.
Right.
Because like one person might be able to play, might have the most fun with Imperial Guard army, like a horde one. But
Yeah, you got to paint a lot of figures. All right, so in 40K you've got what are called MEQs, Marine Equivalents, which is Space Marines, Grey Knights, maybe Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
What else is Marine Equivalents?
Well, Necrons were, but not anymore.
Right.
New
Well,
stuff.
the Necrons are coming out. Yeah, you got to watch your model count. So, and so what point level do people play at? Typically 2,000 to 2,500?
Well, no, it's actually typically 1,500 to 2,000.
Is it? Okay. So
But
we're the only ones here thinking 2,500 is the normal.
It's been starting to head up to that 2,500
Right.
lately, though.
But if you're going to start an army, you would recommend 1,500 then?
I would recommend 2,000.
Okay, great.
Always 2,000.
Right?
Because even if you get like 1,500 points, you get a little bit of extra playroom with if you
Right.
do a 2,000 point army.
Right. You have options. So typically you're going to have to paint up about 50 to maybe 75 infantry for an army. For like Tyranids and Imperial Guard, you're looking at yeah, don't bump the camera. You're looking at as many as 100 to 200. 200 infantry is a lot.
It is.
Like the Studio Tyranid army, which I think is 5,000 points, has
What do you have
at
to
least 200. It's 120 Ormagants, 70 Termagants,
Yeah.
and Spore Mines, and oh yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
So
But
that's-
so for a new player, I would actually recommend Grey Knights.
Grey Knights?
Low model count, reasonably competitive, and relatively easy to paint. Of course, we don't want you to paint your own stuff. We want you to have us paint it. Yeah, Grey Knights are a really good pick.
They
for
are
a new
pretty
player.
powerful right now.
Yeah.
I would recommend Grey Knights also. Or just the vanilla Marine Codex. Those
Yep.
are the two I would recommend for Marines.
Yep. So you've got Tau. Right now, I wouldn't recommend Tau because they are just the Codex. They're like the low point of Codex release, which is like once your Codex gets so old, it's just not.
outdated.
And there's a magic point where the Codex is old, and there's an announcement where they're going to be redoing it soon.
Yeah, which is
So
it's
right
supposed to be
now,
the next
Tau
one.
are Tau and Chaos Space Marines are probably the armies where you probably better just to hold off. Eldar are also there because there's been chatter about Eldar being re-released, right? So now let's talk about army idea. This is what I really wanted to do. Let's talk about our.
Before
Oh
that,
no, go ahead.
I think we should say one thing, not just if you didn't want to play Space Marines like everybody else.
Right.
Another good starting army, I would say, would be orcs.
Right.
Orcs would be a good Xenos.
But you do for an orc army, you're going to paint up 60 boys.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Just plan on that. But because of Assault on Blackreach, you can get those models very inexpensively. And so there's that. So we're going to move on to specific army ideas. But I did want to put out there that, because a lot of people email me for quotes, and I thought, well, how much easier would it be to maybe just say, well, this is kind of how you roughly work it out. So for an infantry figure, we charge between $2 and $4 for the cost of model. You get 20% off. Right now, GW plastics cost between $2.50 and $4 for the model as retail. So if you take 20% off that, you're now into probably $2 to $3.50. Some of them are higher though, like Assault Marines. Right now have hit $6 per figure. So anyway, $2 to $4 for the figure. It's $3 to $4 for assembly, and it is $8 to $11 for painting. So if you add all that up, you end up with a range of $13 to $20 for an infantry figure that's finished A to Z, but that weights heavily towards 13 to 15. So if you're going to do an army, and typically an army requires 50 infantry, you're talking about $600 to $750 for that as the base amount. There's ways to get it down. You can pick an army with a low model count, give us artistic license on the painting, and that can reduce the cost per infantry to the 8 to 11 range. Because the more leeway you give us, the lower that price is going to get. And then, on the other hand, we'll go all the way right on up to. We can do awesome conversions. We can do scratch sculpting now. When I say scratch sculpting, I mean actually creating a figure entirely of green stuff. But most of the time, it's a better idea just do green stuff on top of an existing figure, do like additional features, like Space Wolves. You know, we didn't talk about, because you can do Marines and do Space Wolves, Black Templars, Blood Angels. Blood Angels are a very competitive list. And you can still do something original with, by just making like a different, like the Ebon Crows, or Blood Angels equivalent.
And we love the Count's ass. You know?
Yeah, Count's ass is fantastic. Oh, just one other thing. I'm quoting these prices. These are for around the time of the making of this video. If you're watching this video a year later, it might be different. So anyway.
We just updated again.
Yeah. Now let's talk about dream armies, because I'm always thinking of new armies to do. And I know Renn is.
I'm always doing it too.
So tell us what's on your mind, Renn.
What is on my mind right now?
Yeah.
Well, I was talking yesterday to John about it. Thought it would be cool to have an Imperial Guard army that, like, they were just kind of worker rally, and like they were just construction workers, miners, and stuff. So we thought it would be cool to.
You'd use the Catachin models.
Do a mix, just like
Okay.
kind of just do some Catachin, just make them kind of look like normal people that had to get worked into service. But I thought it would be really cool is because you could take like chimeras and give them like dozer blades, make them a little bit more.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like rural.
Right.
And then you could.
Or that they were like construction equipment.
Yeah.
Like the Sentinels could be like forklift walkers.
Yeah, you can actually give Sentinels close combat weapons. So
Okay.
just thought like that was a fun one I was thinking about yesterday.
So Worker Rabble Imperial Guard. Okay. That's awesome. Okay, my turn. One of my favorites has been Kroot. I've always wanted to do a Kroot Mercs army, but there's never the right list for it. Because the actual Kroot list, which they published, which I don't think is even legal anymore,
Yeah, it's not. Crew mercenary.
is,
I have that open.
you know, it's not that good. But in the Grey Knights Codex, which I don't have, there's a thing where you can take, hold on a second. So one way is to do Kroot is with the Orc list. That's an obvious one. And you can have Narlock riders as bikes, knobs on bikes.
Yep.
Right? So it all makes sense. But, okay, so forget about Kroot.
Forgot.
But here's what's blowing me away. You got the Grey Knights Codex, right? This is what Grey Knights are, right? They're like shiny, you know, do-gooder type, you know, elites. But if you take Inquisitor Koteas, you can have Inquisitorial Henchmen warbands as troops choices. Now, I have to tell you, this is the weirdest entry in the entire game. Because you've got, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You have 10 different types of creatures you can have in this unit, and you can do them in any proportion. You can have as little as 3 and as many as 12. And they can go into transports, any dedicated transport.
Yeah,
They can be in a Rhino, a Razorback, or a Chimera.
Are Land Raiders?
No,
it's
no
Chimera.
Land
That's what
Raider.
it is.
So, wow.
And some of them
Now you
in
could
there-
do anything.
and some of them in there are really good.
Oh, they're fantastic. Look at the Crusader, 15 points. It's
Power
basically, it's a guardsman, but with leadership 8 and weapon skill 4. And gets,
A power weapon and a storm shield for 15 points.
oh, absolutely
It's like-
fantastic. The other insane one, which works good in combination with the Crusader, is the Death Cult Assassin. 15 points, and you get a, 5-up invulnerable
5
save,
additional.
and 2 power weapons, which of course just gives them an extra attack.
Which, when
but they have 2
charge,
attacks base.
4
4
attacks
attacks.
on a charge.
And they're initiative 6.
And they're
Weapon
also-
skill 5. Strength 4.
They're also 15.
Wait, is this right?
Yeah.
Strength 4.
Yes.
That's insane. Now, if you're doing a counts as army, there's a lot you could do with that. You could have a Eldar Banshee themed army
Yeah, using Death Cult Assassins.
using squads of Death Cult assassins.
There's so many things you can do with that. Just
Oh,
come on.
it's just absolutely, it's fantastic. Well, never mind, because I thought of just doing, go down into the scrap that we have, all those extras, and just pull Imperial figures and make, what would be the max out? It'd be 12 henchmen per unit times 6 is 72 guys, so 72 models is reasonable. The average cost is going to be, say, 12 points a model. So that's probably about 1,000 points right there. And then you add in some of the big stuff, and you've really got something. You add in transports, and and then there's the Warrior Acolyte, 4 points a model. And that's the strength. Whatever you have, if you're not up to 12, throw in some Warrior Acolytes to just eat bullets.
And give them Melta-Guns.
Yeah,
14 points for Melta-Gun.
14, 15.
No, 14.
Where is it?
It's 10 points plus 4 points.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I'm not seeing, where's Melt-A-Gun?
Rare.
Plasma Gun, Melt-A-Gun, or Flamer, 10
10
points.
points.
14 points, guy with Melt-A-Gun.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So this Koteas plus the Inquisitorial Henchman bands, basically you could make almost anything out of that. I mean, I just want to kiss this page. Excuse me, I need to be alone with the page for a minute.
Not to mention that you
Get
get
a
access.
room!
Not to mention you get access to some of the other cool things in the Great Night decks on top of just that. You know,
What are you
like
talking
the Tech
about?
Marines and their librarians.
Oh, right. Yeah, never mind that you should sprinkle in some of the good stuff. But you could have 2 Inquisitors, which have an insane amount of weird, just absolutely bizarre war gear. Like a Hell rifle.
One of my
I had to look in here for like 15 minutes to find out what even has that. And it turns out it's the Ordo Malleus Inquisitor. Yeah, Hell rifle. Demon Blade or Hell rifle. Just...
Yeah, well, one of the ones I think is the funniest and kind of like cool fluff one is the Inquisitor with the 2 demon weapons. Because you roll for both of them, and you can use either one.
What? What are you talking about?
So on the demon weapon,
Right?
it's in the war gear. You make a roll on a chart to see what it does during the game, right?
Oh, so you could roll on both. and
Yeah,
have
so you-
one that
you
does
have
this
2
and
of
one
them.
does this, does that.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's really
that's
fascinating.
insane.
I mean, totally not cost effective or whatever, but that's just
Right.
fun,
Yeah,
you know?
that is. So basically, in the Grey Knights book, you have 2 different lists. People think, oh, it's Grey Knights. Do I like Grey Knights? No, no, no. It's also Inquisition. And that they made it so you could have henchmen, warbands, as troops is just
It's awesome.
insane. What I'd like to do, the dream army I'd like to do and have a big old fat budget to do it with, is Adeptus Mechanicus.
Oh, yeah.
You could make an Adeptus Mechanicus army that was just insane, and we have the bits to do it too. To do, that's the robed guys, right?
Yeah.
No? It
The
is.
Scutari,
Aren't those like the Dark Angels guys with the little hoods, little short guys?
no, they're like abhumans, but
Okay.
they work for the
But are they
Defense
tall
Communities.
or are they?
Yeah, they're like tall and they're like kind of explained almost to be kind of like lizardmen kind of like dudes.
Oh, okay.
But they're
So I'm totally
abhumans.
off.
I don't
Right.
know.
Well, and you can, I've seen people do 40K lizard men before, you know, so whatever's your fancy. Imperial Guard is also another good book to use for counts as, you know, you could do squats, you could do Kroot, you could do, you know,
Well, and we've done it before where we actually made like the Kroot mercenary army. We made it to actually work for an Imperial Guard decks or the Orc
or the
decks.
orcs, right? Yeah.
Like it was brilliant, you know, because
That
the
really
orcs you
was
can
great.
use some of the Imperial Guard ones, looted wagons, and then the Imperial Guard you just use it as a chimera.
Right.
You know, that was one of
Yeah.
my favorite armies we did.
That was good. That was really good.
Chaos is always
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, and straight up Grey Knights, which is what I originally wanted to pitch, is great. Go Rainbow. You see a lot of like, oh, I'm going to take 50 Terminators, which by the way, we have one of those coming up for sale, and it is awesome. It's super competitive. But the guy that I started playing, Rob, his army was pretty scary, and it was just a little bit of everything. Like, seriously, I don't think he duplicated one unit. It was like regular Grey Knights, a unit of Terminators, a Storm Raven, a Land Raider, a Purifier squad, an
Those guys
Interceptor
are
squad.
scary. It's purifiers.
Oh, that's insane. Versus, well, I've already explained the math
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
tape with that. But see, they needed that. The more I read them, I'm like, you know what? Grey Knights should scare you.
Yeah.
Because they are elites, and it would be told... the designers would have been remiss if they had made it where, you know, they could just be overwhelmed by orc boys or ormagons, which is my thing. I like armies where it's just masses of guys. Sorry, what were we going to say?
I don't remember.
All right. Well, okay, so other concept armies. Did want to go revisit Witches of Thoth, which is a demon army with female Tzeentchian sorceresses on discs. That's kind of cool. For Warhammer Fantasy, I've kind of had a hankering to do a Nurgle army, a Nurgle demons army, and do conversions out of it.
Yeah,
Of like these weird, flailing, pustulant monstrosities. And lots of them. What else? But I guess we got into Warhammer Fantasy there for just a minute. All right, what
I'm
else?
just playing around.
Well, and I'd love to talk about War Machine, but I'm kind of out of it. Like they've come out with a new book, and I haven't really tried any of that. I haven't played against any of it. I need to play more, Renn. I just have to get going.
Play some more Warhammer.
Yeah.
Everybody's at the
Quit
studios
complaining
doing it.
about it, and just do it. Yeah, and I love my Retribution army, so there's that. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I personally, I'm kind of on a 40K kick right now. I'm really having a good time.
I've always wanted to do a renegade plague zombie army.
Oh, that would be a great
Right.
theme. Would be a zombie army. What lists would you use for that? Like a mindless rushing horde Tyranids? I don't know, because you don't want to get too far off the beaten track.
You could just use
You
guard,
know.
to be honest.
Guard.
Yeah.
So the zombies are like
The zombie
loading
guards
things.
are
Oh, maybe they're like animated by some fell power. So let's take a look at some of these books. Chaos Space Marines, we already talked about those a little bit. Space Marines, we talked about those. Chaos Demons. And this book still has a lot of potential. Something I want to try at least is Screamers of Tzeentch. Screamers of Tzeentch are armed with,
Melt the bombs.
that's right, they have warp jaws, which counts as melt-a-bombs. So I'm like, 5 of these guys could take out any tank. And they count as jet bikes. But not Eldar jet bikes.
Not Elbard.
What race has just regular jet bikes that aren't Eldar?
Well, Dark Angels, their Samael, he has a jet bike.
Is that it? Is that the only thing in the game that has a regular jet bike?
The Destroyers count as jet bikes right now.
Oh, yeah.
Not anymore.
But does that mean they
In the
don't
next decks.
have the 6-inch assault move?
No, that's Eldar jet bikes.
Yeah, have that. So regular jet bikes
Regular
don't
jet
have
bikes
that.
do not.
Okay.
The only thing they can
So
do is
Chaos
just
Demons.
fly over stuff.
Dark Eldar are still smoking hot.
Yes.
Fantastic. I recommend. And they're kind of a medium model count, medium
That would be a
thing.
good one for the zombie army.
Oh yeah, like the grotesques or whatever.
Yeah, the racks. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant, the racks. Yeah, fantastic. And if you're going to do that, just do a homunculus army. Oh, hold on, let me get this. All right, so what do we have next? We've got orcs, which we talked about, right? So for orcs, the basic build is 60 boys. That's kind of where you have to start. Everything else after that is fun. I usually put in a unit of knobs, battle wagon with 10 knobs on foot. Or again, ABR helps you out with that because it gives you some mulch. So a set of ABR orcs, 5 of them, and a regular box set of knobs, kind of mix and match. That'll give you a good grouping
Well,
there.
if you really want to go super cheap, just get 2 ABR and that comes
Right,
with
but you don't get the
10.
power claws,
That's true.
and you really need that.
Yeah, you do.
So Eldar, we talked about them. Imperial Guard, this is a fun army to make, but be prepared. It is one of the more expensive ones to make. Tau Empire, I'm recommending against right now, just wait until the Tau come out. Eldar again, yeah, we have multiples of each codex. Blood Angels are great for counts as. This is, by the way, this is our least expensive army choice. If you give us complete control over it. Descent of Angels, it's basically Renn's army that he did.
It's a good army.
Which is
too.
what, like 40 jump infantry all told, something like that?
Yeah, it's cheap. I keep them in this like small little box.
Yeah.
It's like, very good
Yeah.
go army.
So Blood Angels, Grey Knights, super hot. I highly recommend Grey Knights. Everything is good about them. What else? Tyranids. I like Tyranids because they are truly the only weird army. Like every army has 2 arms, 2 legs, face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all do. Tyranids are the only ones that are freaks. That they
Yeah,
have 6
6.
limbs and they really look alien. If you're going to do a Tyranid army, there's lots of different ways to do it. You can go low model count with Gene Stealers, but there's an apex to that list. Like, there's a point where people are gonna beat you. But see, do I know that? Have I tried it? Has anyone taken, 80 gene stealers to a tournament? But really, the way the game's designed now is I think you're stronger just doing a mix of things. And I think you'll have more, they're called rainbow armies.
But to go back one of the ones I've always wanted to do is take the Dark Angels Codex and make a World Eater army.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, like Chaos Space Marine
Yes,
figures.
yes. It's
Like
Corn
post-heresy.
Berserkers would be the Death Company.
This is a book. If you want to go off the beaten track, do Black Templars. They have
That's a
great
great-
figs. Well, these are all duplicates. I have like 2 or 3 of every book. And I think some of them are missing, so yeah, that's it. We've covered them all.
Well, there's Necrons, but that's all kind of
Oh,
considering
yeah.
the book comes out in like, what, 2 weeks? 1 week? Whatever it is?
No, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, we're getting
Really?
2 copies for the studio tomorrow. Yep, and then, but see, there's the issue is, oh, GW, why are you doing this? Like, they're keeping everything under wraps until it actually comes out. Well, guess what? No big release. Nobody buys the things until they can kind of figure out what it is.
Yeah. it's-
We buy one of each thing to show you and to figure out what the assembly and painting costs should be. All right, so
but, like,
there
yeah,
you go.
we'll look through that codex and be like, that's what everybody does. They get like the codex first. Nobody buys anything
Right.
until they know like,
Well,
I
and
need
it
to get
takes
this.
months
It's-
to really figure out how it works.
What I don't understand is why they don't like release the book like 2 weeks before.
Oh,
all
that'd be
releases,
fantastic.
right? So you got
Yeah.
time to look at. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's what we think of that for what's that worth. I've always wanted to do an army of Wraith Lords.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but I don't know what book you would use. I thought of using demons and using them as fiends of Slaanesh, but quite frankly, yeah. Anyway, so those are some ideas. We are doing a studio Imperial Fists. In fact, we now know what's going to be in that. See if you can do it by heart. You do the HQs. What are the HQs?
So the HQs have Terminator Librarian.
Ooh. Here, let me see. Go ahead. Yeah, I
So-
know. This is my fungus nid candy. So this is, thank you, this is now done. I would take a break, and by that time I'll have your next shot.
I just wanted to flat coat them.
Oh, hello, so you needed them. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Terminator Librarian is HQ, and then a assault squad of Terminators to go with him.
Right,
And a
5
Yes, 5.
in a Land Raider. That's an
Land Raider.
elite's choice.
Yep, that's a link choice. And then we have 2 dreadnoughts. One of them is Mortis Pattern Dreadnought with the twin-linked autocannons, both arms. It's Mortis Pattern.
Really?
Yeah, they're called Mortis Pattern.
Oh, autocannons.
Yeah, the autocannons.
The infamous rifleman dread.
Yes, that's what people call it.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
played Dark Angels, okay.
And then a drop pod
Drop
with
pod
a
dreadnought.
Melta dread in it.
Yep, and heavy flamer. And then we got 10 Assault Marines,
Right?
3 10-man tack squads.
Aren't we putting a chaplain with jump pack in there as an HQ choice?
No,
Go with them?
We can.
I think we should.
I'll throw it in there.
Okay?
Okay.
Make it so.
Make it so. Kind of. Yep. we got it.
All right.
So, no, the 3 10-man tack squads with
Nice.
last cannon,
And Melta.
melta gun, and then Sergeant has a combi melta. And what you do is you take a Razorback transport for him, combat
Right.
squad.
Right?
So then you run up the Sergeant and got melta gun in the
Right.
Razorback, while the other guys sit back and shoot their last cannon.
Right.
Yeah.
Clever. That's really good.
And then on top of that, we have 4 land speeders, all with multi-meltas.
Right. 2 units of 2.
2 units of 2.
So with the Assault Marines, that fills up all the fast attack slots.
Yeah, we have all the fast attack filled up, all the elite filled up, and then for heavy we have a Vindicator, a Predator,
And the Predator is like magnetized to the hilt. Same with the Land Raider.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's it. That's 2,500 points. and it looks fantastic. It's something Renn's been working on, and we're really super excited about that. So, and that's a studio army. Oh, and some people, like, it's funny, one person has a comment on YouTube, and that becomes some people. So, saying, hey, what's with studio armies, because you just sell them right away. Well, yes, because if I sell them, then I get this thing called profit. And that helps pay the bills and keep everybody with electricity, food, and shelter.
Makes it so we can make another studio army.
And that's the trick right there. Is if the studio army sells, 2 to 3 weeks from then I can have it duplicated, or I can do something different. So yeah, everything you see is for sale.
You know, and we enjoy doing it.
Except Renn, he's not for sale.
No.
Oh, by the way, in other news, Renn has moved down to Spanish Fork.
Yeah.
So he now lives like 5 minutes from the studio.
Live next door to him.
Yeah, Renn is just a couple doors down, living in a bachelor pad down
Yeah.
there. Yep.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right. I guess that's it. So, we're ready. We're standing by to take your order. Oh, and by the way, in case anybody cares or notices if I seem out of sorts, it's just lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep.
Oh, lack of sleep is so
Sleep
bad.
zombie. Yeah. That would be a good army idea. So like sleep deprived.
It's the insomniacs that have like black shadows under their eyes.
Pure gardening.
Have, like,
They're all like,
coffee mugs instead of power fists.
hey guys, you know, last night sucked. I didn't get any sleep. Hey, there's an orc.
Bang, bang.
Bang.
All right.
Most lazy guardsman army ever.